I spent over a month trying to get Claude Code actually work in Unreal Engine 5. I watched plenty of YouTube tutorials and tried different connectors and plugins. There is plenty of garbage and some are very expensive. But I found gold for you guys, 2 plugins that actually works together with Claude, and they are completely free. The only thing you pay in this setup is Claude itself, but you can even replace that. So in this video, I'm gonna guide you through the whole process of installation, how to prompt it so it works, and we're gonna do a stress test with the real workflow, and we're gonna try to make something playable. I'm gonna drop my generated assets, ask it to build a level in a simple game. We're gonna honestly evaluate how good Claude will deal with that tasks. Click that like button, guys. That's how I know you'll like the video and I can make more great content for you guys. Okay, so the starting point will be Unreal Engine and Claude Code. I'm gonna use Claude Code desktop version and a project in Unreal Engine 5.7. We're gonna need them both installed, opened, and I'm gonna open Claude Code in a folder with that Unreal Engine project. So that's your prerequisite. I assume you can do that without me. Now let's get to the plugins. So I actually gonna drop the links to the Claude and just say install those 2 plugins. And while Claude starts to install the plugins, let me explain what are these plugins. So I've been really researching a lot and I installed plenty of them, tested, and some of them are really not working. The Unreal Claude is quite good one with a lot of stars, and it allows 2 main things that we're gonna need is that it can do the screenshots and it also can nicely move objects around inside the Unreal Engine. It has its own MCP inside and it actually allows more than that, but for the rest of the things we're gonna use Vibe UE. This is also open source, but it will require an API key because it goes together with their own editor, but you don't have to pay unless you want to use their own agent. In my case, we're interested in the tools that they give, and they give access to quite a lot of stuff. You can read in details, but just trust me, you can edit blueprints, you can run a lot of Python script and stuff, and this one is really working. So installation might take quite a while because it's also gonna need to install some dependencies. So there's Node required, some Microsoft C++ libraries, etc, etc. So you can just ask Claude to install whatever not installed. In my case, most of it actually was installed already. I use Node a lot and Microsoft stuff also was installed. And there will be also created Claude file in your folder that will contain all the instruction on the agent. And I'm gonna provide you with my final Claude.md that contain all the instructions how to run this setup, and it also will contain some instructions what I learned during the process so you guys can save tokens and move much smoother. All that free in the description with all links with my guide. Okay, so now the installation is done and we can see that it suggests that we need to find the API key for Vibe UE. And as I said, that's free, but we still need to sign in into Vibe UE and get that API key. Also, Claude might not install MCP right away in the project that will connect this plugin to Unreal Engine scene, so you can additionally just ask that install all the MCPs. In my case, you can see all installed from one prompt, but if you're gonna use my Claude.md, it will definitely gonna cover all the dependencies. Mainly setup looks like this: 2 plugins, 2 MCP to connect to these plugins, and dependencies to make them work. And of course, after installation, it makes sense to restart the Unreal Engine project because it was installed. We're gonna go to vibue.com login, and you can see on the dashboard you have the API key. Just copy that key. We're gonna go to the Vibe UE, and here in Vibe in general, just paste and save that. So that will make this actually work. Again, you can use their agent, but you'll have to pay for that. We just need the MCP and tools that it has. So we're not gonna use their interface. Now let's ask Claude to check the MCP connection. All right, I did restart it and Boom! In my case, everything is great. Well, of course, I did that already many times, but if you face any problems, just ask Claude to navigate you where is the problem. Mainly after installation, you might need to restart editor and sometimes even Claude Code to MCP take place. And before you start doing any vibe coding, guys, I really recommend to always start Git. If you don't have Git installed, you can ask Claude to install Git. That's for tracking your progress. Well, that's widely used for code and anything, and Unreal Engine project, it also bunch of code and assets. And to be able to easily revert at some states, you need Git. That basically version tracking, and AI agents work extremely nice with that. If you're an expert developer, of course you know that, but for beginners, I really recommend you to always take that step. And when I'm gonna show my process later, you're gonna see that I actually ask it to commit changes. That's how it works in Git, right? You can revert, you can commit, which commit basically means save. All right, so now let's do the test. I actually gonna start with not exactly blank scene. I'm gonna use one scene that I created in my previous video, created a modular character. Basically, that's a third person with replace it AI character. If you don't know how to do that, I have plenty of videos how to actually get to this step. And here is the prompt. So we're gonna try to create an endless runner, something simple to start with. And I already saying that I do already have a character that is blueprint third person character. That's pretty much it. And let's start with a cleanup. There's a lot of accessories and stuff, and only keep the character. What I like about Claude Code that sometimes it asks reasonable questions, which we can reasonably answer. Keep lighting and sky. Yes, I think we can keep lighting and sky. And pretty much here we are. The scene is cleaned. Right. So after the first preparation, the next prompt's gonna be to clear the level and to create infinite paths that actually add style as you move, right? So basically that infinite runner. So let's give it a go. And also you're gonna see that after some significant milestones, I always ask it to commit changes. So that's how it actually triggered the git commit. And you can actually see on the time lapse that sometimes it triggers the game, well, actually starts the game and do the screenshots and review himself, which is actually great. All right, so you can see like how it works. And in the end, he actually did with the Unreal Claude, he captured the viewport, and you can see that it confirms that there is a planes and there is a character standing on it. And we can actually test it out. So yeah, you see it took quite a while, but let's see. Okay, right, we can run. Looks endless, but yes, actually it works. So tiles behind disappear as we go forward. So this is exactly as I expected it to be. So we're just getting started. Very quickly, let's review what it actually creates. And you can see the BP runner tile, and we can see that it added some variables here, tile lengths, path lengths. Look, actually, like it actually makes sense. And the cool thing is that you can go and edit, like, and the more you understand, the more handy it can be. And the blueprint actually not look that ugly. One node is far away, but overall, it's not that bad. I can definitely say in advance, it cannot make that perfect location for blueprints, and it might look like a spaghetti. I even tried once to remove that spaghetti, but yeah, it can make it at some degree, but not perfect. So, okay, let's move on. The next prompt is to actually make it that it's auto running, and the camera and stuff. Well, yeah, I don't want to press forward. That's not how Infinity Runners work. Let's actually make it run automatically. I can also open blueprints with the characters, so you can see how it changed the camera position, because I asked to make a camera a little bit from the top. There were some blueprints from before, I think. Oh no, it's actually starting to add or edit the existing blueprints. Let's see what it actually gonna make. Here we can see that it executes some Python scripts which change the camera position. Let's review that. Yeah, indeed, camera is somewhere where it should be. All right, and here's the test. Oh, actually it runs the test himself, which is actually great. All right, that's more or less what I expected, and some new blueprints, and let's give it a try. Okay, so now it runs forward automatically, and I can just control left and right. Amazing. So now we can just commit the changes again. Great. let's move on. With the next prompts, I'm gonna adjust a little bit of logic. So I actually want to make it 3 lanes and just control it with A and D, right? So to switch between lanes, I don't want really like to guide it like a normal controller. So this is the next prompt, and here you can see what output it gives me, right? So it takes quite a bit to think about it, and also like here's the spaghetti and this can be actually a little bit messy, but what can we do, right? I actually tried to ask it to make it less messy, but it's not working like that. You have to supervise it, at least at this stage. I hope it will improve. Right now, honestly, it will not make perfect blueprint, I mean aesthetically, but you can see it actually works. It created 3 lanes, and more or less we can switch and work. So in terms of coding or like creating a blueprints, the logic that it does is actually good, but it's not always great, right? And here I can see the limitation for the beginners, right? If you're gonna give the superficial task or like some general task, you might expect that it will execute any easiest way or any faster way, but that's not guaranteed. That will be scalable way, and that will be easy for you to add logic on top. So from my testing, this is absolutely great thing, and I'm gonna continue using that. I have more content and more projects where I'm gonna try to use max of it, but if you just wanted to create something and you're gonna not review that or give very general prompting, you're gonna get very poor results. But if you dig into the logics and concepts, how it should be working, and explain Claude what you want in more details, you're gonna get quite amazing results. So as always, this is a very good boost for those who understand things, but it doesn't mean if you're a beginner, don't use that. No, just use it smarter. Learn with this tool, ask why is that, like what is this node like, and explore the right architecture for that or that game, how things are done. AI is extremely nice for this sort of things. And by the time I was talking, I also did a prompt about obstacles, and here you can see obstacles actually work. So now we can face the obstacle. Okay, there are no game over whatsoever, but we do have obstacles, and we can actually stuck in obstacles. Now let's make it a bit more fun. I'm gonna speed up a little bit. We're gonna add coins as well, the same way. Well, basically collectibles, and we're gonna ask it to randomize it, but they should not intersect with the obstacles, right? So that took actually 15 minutes, right? And 14,000 tokens of Opus 4.8. I guess that could be expensive. You can see the blueprints and stuff. Okay, right. And of course, we're gonna commit the changes. Now, before we're gonna go and create 3D models, let's also do some simple UI. I'm not gonna show the score, the total coins collected, and also the game over and retry. Okay, here we go. Let's actually crash and see about the end screen. Boom. Here we go. The design is doubtful, but we can address that later. For the concept, I used ChatGPT to create image like this. Then from the image, I extracted few assets such as obstacle, coin, then also the bridge itself, I also extract, and the background I created later. So for this sort of things, how to create 3D environments, characters and stuff, it's all on my channel, guys. Take a look, and there's option how to make it completely for free. But if you are serious, I do have very good news for you guys. I launched my first 3D AI course just recently, and it covers all basics that you need, all best AI tools, best workflow, so you can create your 3D character from A to Z just in 1 week. It is about to give you most important 10%, so you can achieve 90% of any of your goal. We already received amazing feedback from you guys, and we are keep updating course, adding new lessons, and we're gonna keep doing that for a year more. All links in the description. So I generated those few assets, and again, like there's different way how you can, your Claude node, you can drop them to the project. Here I actually just wanted to test. I exported like zip with the FBX and dropped them here, and also added the screenshot just so like it understands. And yeah, I mean, pretty much it's quite smart about that. Like it will figure out the assets with the proper names and stuff. So my request is simple. Let's replace replace obstacles with obstacles, coins with coins, right? And after a while, here we go. We're actually already running and there is obstacles and coins. Next, of course, I wanted to replace the bridge. Let's go. We're gonna create the bridge and here we go. I was using the toon shader that was already in my project. I actually forgot about it. That's a free shader you can find on Git. I really like how it looks, but it might require additional settings for different objects, especially for this one. So eventually I actually turned it off, and also with Claude that was actually fast. And working with materials is that it's also one of the use case. And to be honest, the project was not without the bugs. So for example, whenever I was going to the right or left, I was saying that game is over. So there was like a bug whenever it touches the bridge or like goes to the right or left, and there was a problem with placement of bridges. There was a gap. So I spent some time debugging that. I actually addressed these issues to the Claude, showed him some screenshots, and yeah, you can see it actually works. Okay, boom. All right. And there was one last bug that obstacles goes inside the bridge. You can see here. I, of course, addressed it. Here we go, the fix is here, and I also asked it to remove the toon shader. Boom, here we go. Okay. Then the same thing I did with the environment texture. The task was to put it actually as a sphere. So here you can see the result. And you can see there is line, but that line actually from the back side. So that's actually not a problem. Let's run and play. Woo, that looks way better. Again, the image I generated with ChatGPT image, not with Claude. Claude is not good at generating. And I actually think that the best process is when you think through the assets and prepare them, and then just like use Claude as agent, like to organize things, to put the logic, but not for the placement and stuff. After that, I did few more rounds to do some polish testing to show you guys something nice that was related to some animations of coins. Also, I added like PBR to my bridge. That was actually, I generated it wrong first time, and then I added all the maps and started to look way better. And here's the results of my testing. So we're gonna play the game. Whenever we collect the coins, we sort of speed up. Actually, some coins are inside the obstacles. I think I gonna need to review that, but it's pretty cool how far you can go with the Claude right now. I definitely think that is gonna be a full replacement. It can be helpful if you can describe the logic that you want. It can be very helpful, especially for the beginners. And myself, I also still learning a lot about Unreal Engine, and it helps significantly. I plan to make more videos about creating real games using AI generated assets and AI assisted pipeline in Unreal Engine. So like and subscribe to not miss any of them, and I see you in the next one.